I was told that we didn't do anything for good luck last week, and so
You gonna throw some salt over your shoulder?
I don't have any salt, but I've got some thumbtacks. So
Nice.
that'll be interesting later.
What's up, Candy fam? My name's Nate, that's David, and this is the Talking Candy Weekly Update. Every week we take a look at the most important announcements, market information, and everything else going on in the world of candy and give you an idea of what you need to be paying attention to. While David and I each have collections of our own, none of this is financial advice. Please do your own research. We are just here to have a good time. If these videos are useful to you and you're not subscribed yet, I like you, but you're crazy. David, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Nate. I'm doing good. We've had collectively an exciting past couple days. Can't wait to get into. And there's been a lot of changes this past week that we need to cover as well. And so there's a lot to talk about today. It's going to be good.
It's been an eventful week, not the least of which has been the significant update to the pack drop structure. We're going to get into that in detail, make sure everybody understands that. In addition, we're going to take a closer look at the player mint tiers. Now that we've had a week to look at everything, we were speculating for a while, and last week we were right on top of the pack drop, so we hadn't had a chance to fully digest it. So we're going to show a graphic of that and give a good understanding of what that looks like in detail. We're going to talk a little bit about the Jackie Robinson drop across the board. There were 3 different versions of that drop, not the least of which being a one-of-one auction that ended last night or 2 days ago by the time we released this. And at the end of the show, as we did last week, we're going to open some packs. We're each going to open a couple more packs. We've been patient, and so we were both looking forward to that. Now, you and I have even more to look forward to recording this each week with the pack rips. So
Right, I've just been staring at them for 7 days, waiting to open a couple more.
You and me both. So let's start real quick with some current events like we do. And as always, if you're not following at Talking Candy NFT on Twitter, this is the place to get the most or the quickest updates on things that are happening in candy. Try to get significant sales, significant announcements, anything that's going on. So like I said, not the least of which this week we had a series of Jackie Robinson NFT drops. The open mint tier was a baseball, a signed Jackie Robinson baseball. Those went for $75 each, and those are done now. All of the Jackie Robinson stuff is done, but those were available. You can still get those on the secondary. The limited mint was a silver bust. These went for $250 each. There were 100 of them, and they sold out in a matter of seconds. It was pretty wild. And within the first 4 hours, these were the 9 sales that we saw, ranging from a couple at $600 and $700 all the way up to $1,700. We have since seen several more. I think we're up to somewhere around 16, 17 sales. And we just saw the number 1 cereal go. Is that correct?
Yes, and actually with that sale, that pushed us up to 20 sales.
20 sales, okay. And
So they've been trickling in every day or so since they've been released.
Yeah.
And so we were at 18, and then that number 1 of 100 went just a few hours ago.
I think did it go for 8,500?
Yes, 8,500 on that one.
So congratulations to the buyer on that one. That is a super sweet NFT to have in the collection. Very cool. So that's that. This was just a screenshot from the pack drop update. We are going to go into that in more detail, but the general premise here is that everything's been cut in half to make up for the first drop already having 60,000 packs. The second drop, which was supposed to be today, was canceled, and the remaining lineups will still be split into 2 drops each, but instead of 60,000 packs each, we'll see 30,000 packs each. We'll get into that more in a little bit. Also, shout out to Chuck Butta. Finally sold this Trey Turner. He was very patient with it, slowly walked it down over time. I know he's very excited to have this about to hit the candy balance. So this was a huge sale. And it was also pretty cool to see that we've clearly got a Dodgers fan here. They have collected the Justin Turner 2021, the Trey Turner, as well as the Julio Urias. 22. So all 3 of these 1 of 1s are in the same collection now. Congratulations to that collector. Not exactly sure who that is. We saw a Shane Bieber. This is more of a PSA than anything. It's a Shane Bieber jersey serial from the 21 set that sold for under the floor. Probably somebody that didn't realize what they had, and just wanted to quickly point it out for anybody watching. Make sure you check your serials. Low serials are desirable. Perfect serials, which in this case would be 120 out of 120, and then the jersey serial. So as you can see, his number 57 is written right on the card. On the 22 cards, you have to click into the card to see what their jersey number is, but always check to see if you have that jersey serial before going to list so that you do not make a mistake like this. And the biggest Jackie Robinson sale ended last night, and this was a 1 of 1 auction. It was hosted on Bitski, which is where Candy has had the partnership for a while now for products of this nature. And this went for $50,000. Jeff Rathgaber, a good friend of ours, we interviewed him a few weeks back. He's got a ton of 1 of 1s, and now he's got this crown jewel to add to those 1 of 1s. We had the fortunate privilege of sharing the last 30 minutes of that auction with him. That video was just posted, so if you haven't seen that yet, take a look at that. It's a quick 15-minute video just showing a little insight into those tense but also exciting and fun final moments. So this was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool moment for the both of us.
Yeah, couldn't be more pleased that he was willing to share that moment with us and hop on the camera, get in chat with us, and let us experience that final really half hour with him as the bidding concluded there.
Definitely. And we wish we could have done it live. Unfortunately, we're just not really set up for that yet. Just not really the way that we've been doing these. So, but because he shared that with us, we're going to be able to share that with all of you. So be sure to go check that out as well. Congratulations to Jeff. The number 1 serial signed baseball also sold. This went for $3,000. So as you can see, the 1 serials across the board, super valuable. And I believe, did this go to the same person as the number 1 serial silver bust? Do you know? I think that it may have, but
check.
I'm not positive on that. But I think that somebody is collecting themselves a nice stash of Jackie Robinson memorabilia. I personally think this is one of the coolest things that Candy has launched so far. All 3 NFTs were very nicely done. I never would have thought that I would think a video of a signed baseball would be cool, but here we are. It really is. And the video is even cooler than this screenshot. So congratulations to the owner of that.
You were correct there. That was purchased by the same user who purchased the Jackie Robinson silver bust number 1. And so now they've got the pair, both the silver bust and the signed baseball, in the collection. They have everything but that 1 of 1 gold edition. But they were one of the bidders on that going down to the wire yesterday too. So they nearly had all 3.
The trifecta. That would have been something. But still, 2 really cool pieces to add to what I'm sure is an extremely impressive collection across the board. And the last little piece here was that we saw another 1 of 1 from the 2022 set sell today. This is only the second from that set to sell. It was the Kyle Tucker, and it went for $5,500. So 22nd overall 1 of 1 to sell. And like I said, just the second from this set. So it'll be interesting to see what we continue to see popping up. I believe the Christian Yelich has been pulled. It's tough to find data right now. It's a lot of new cards. Some of our past methods of collecting this data have been destroyed in the last week, but we are picking up the pieces and figuring out new ways to collect data. So it's just a new challenge. So congratulations to the buyer and the seller on that one. I imagine that was pulled from it had to have been pulled from a $50 pack. So a huge win for that person, but also a really nice pickup, exciting young player, somebody that's really come onto the scene these last couple of years. So congratulations on that. And then the last little piece that I wanted to update people on is that Clay Graphics from Serial 1 has updated the collection page. I've got David's collection in here, which he has already completed in addition to his 21 sets. So as you can see, everything here is lit up already. These players will be grayed out if you do not have the card, but it's a nice way to check if you have the full set or what you have from that set, and working towards completing a set if that's something that you're interested in doing. And yeah, so that's pretty much the current events, we'll call it, for the day. But let's jump into the floors just to touch on it real quick from the 21 set. It's not a pretty picture, as has been the case. However, you noted before that these floors are pretty thin. Like we've been talking about, there's a lot of distraction right now. The Jackie Robinson stuff came out. We have a significant run of play of the days that have come out at this point. The 22 cards are in play. The second lineup from 22 is 2 weeks away. So there's a lot of stuff going on here, a lot of different motives to be moving in different directions, but I'll let you speak on this one for a second.
Well, and I think that's exactly it. I think it is just the shiny new toy is the 2022 set. And so that's where a lot of the focus is. And those 2021 listings, because we don't have these advanced filtering options yet, they're getting lost in the shuffle. Because, and we've noted, the mint size on the 2021 set is significantly smaller than the mint size on the 2022. And so someone listing a core, out of 409 on the All-Stars for $50, that could be a bargain for that player compared to what we've seen. But when it's sitting there next to $1 and $2 listings for the 2022 set, it's not as obviously a good deal. And so until you can filter and sort and see those 2021 cards in isolation, the good deals aren't going to stand out as readily. You're going to have to do a bit more digging to pick them up. But it is a thin floor. There's been some people who are motivated to sell their 2021 cards in spite of the fact that they're getting lost in the shuffle. And so that's resulted in some repeated relisting and lowering prices. And most of these floors that have dropped are only 2 or 3 cards thick and would be right back up to their price from 2 or 3 weeks ago just as soon as those move. So it does feel like a temporary dip when you're looking at this graph. But it remains to be seen. They did announce that they are working on advanced filtering options. The current expectation is that they'll be ready by late May. And so if they can stick to that deadline, then at that point, I think we're going to see some focus shift back to the 2021 set. Or at the very least, these criminally low listings will have a spotlight shined on them a little bit more easily.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. It's unfortunate for people listing and trying to sell right now, but the other side of that, just something that you can take advantage of as a buyer, is that unlike when we only had the 21 set and things would linger on that front page for a little bit, they now get pushed off extremely quickly because there is so much product. So there are some deals that get pushed off of that page quickly. So if you are spending some time, taking a look at the website and picking up some cards, it behooves you to click that view all on the listings and scroll through a couple pages, because you just never know what quickly got pushed off that front page that still isn't all that old. So it hasn't been found in people going and making deliberate searches. So it's still new. It's still, snipeable, if you want to call it that, but it's a little bit hidden. So make sure that you go and you click through a couple pages, because you never know what got pushed off quickly with a quick influx of new listings. And one other thing that I wanted to note is that the higher tier cards are not seeing the same dips as we're seeing with the cores. So this chart is showing core floors, which have dipped, which we were expecting to see after the snapshot being taken on the full sets. We weren't necessarily expecting it to do this, but as we've just spoken to, a lot of different reasons that could potentially be impacting that. But the parity that we were expecting to see from core to epic is now starting to play out a little bit more significantly, where those uncommons, rares, epics haven't seen as big a dip. Probably a combination of things. I would imagine people that were buying rares and epics at higher prices weren't necessarily looking to sell those right away anyway, so they've got more patience on what those selling points are. That's not to say that we haven't seen dips there. We have, but we're starting to see the discrepancy between the different tiers look a little bit more like we thought that they might, and hopefully in time we'll start to move in the right direction as things develop in different ways.
And to expand upon that, it isn't just that the higher tiers weren't as impacted as much. It also depends on how many sales have occurred within that tier. And the reduced circulation or the reduced supply on specific players that have had higher than average sales, that serves as kind of a protection against that type of significant price movement. As we know, there's only 60 rares in the All Star set and only 30 epics. And so when you have a player that's sold 16, 17, 18 epics, they've got less in circulation than a player that's only sold 4 or 5 epics. Because only 4 or 5 have sold on some players, that means there's more in circulation, there's more people who might become motivated to sell, depending on what the circumstances are at. And so you can look at that as sort of a security to be invested in one of those players that's already had a high number of sales.
Absolutely, good point. Love it. All right, let's stop talking about floors and let's talk about packs. As promised, here is the update of the pack drops. So, lineup 1 has concluded. April 12th happened. It sold out. We then saw the floors drop on cards to an extent that people were getting a little bit nervous about. Wasn't necessarily what we were all hoping and expecting. It seems that the supply was a bit too high for what the current demand is, and there was a lot of call for action on that, and Candy did that. So on Friday, they announced that they were going to chop the remaining pack drops in half, not permanently, but for the time being. So we will see those packs in the future. We don't know how. We don't know if it'll be in a single drop once demand has increased. We don't know if they'll trickle them out in smaller batches. Don't know if they'll be used for other things, contests, giveaways, stuff like that. Who knows? All speculation. But what we're looking at now is the drop that was supposed to happen yesterday, the 19th, was canceled. So you can see that in red. And the next drop is 2 weeks from now. So it's going to be May 3rd. And from here on out, we will continue having the 2 drop per lineup structure, but it will be 30,000 packs per drop instead of 60,000 packs per drop. So what that means in terms of early access versus general access, not totally sure. I would imagine it just means it's cut in half. It doesn't necessarily mean that, but probably. So probably looking at somewhere in the vicinity of 5,000 to 6,000 packs for early access, and then another 24, 25 for general. And while this doesn't impact the mint per player per se, it does in the short term. So you're still going to see those numbers on the cards, and in the long run, that's what the mint counts will be. And there's going to be some randomness to what gets pulled, but theoretically, all of these mints per player are going to be cut in half for a little bit. So instead of 2.4K to 5K on mint per player, and we'll show another more detailed graphic on that shortly, we're going to be looking at something like 1.2K to 2.5K per player in the short term. So lower supply, hopefully more in line with what the current demand is. Certainly that's the goal here. And while there was clearly a misstep here, it's nice to see that they admitted it and made an adjustment. And we've seen pack floors go back up in response to that, which is a good thing. And I think that the waters have calmed a little bit and people are going back to enjoying this set a little bit without panicking about what might happen with a continued flood of cards.
I do like the response that they took. I don't necessarily agree that the misstep was entirely on Candy's fault to begin with. To me, it still feels like people had an unrealistic expectation of what a set of this size was going to be doing performance-wise right out the gate. And because people set their expectation in such a high spot, it created this spiral of negativity in the hours after the drop that just kind of deepened throughout Wednesday and Thursday. And of all the possible actions, I agree that this was the best one for Candy to have taken. Some people were calling for them to burn the remaining half of the cards, which doesn't make sense because there's probably legendaries or potentially World Series tickets or other good things, number one mints that were in that other half that hasn't been released yet for lineup number one. But just removing it from play, at least for now, serves the same purpose until we can reintroduce it over time.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. I think we have slightly differing opinions on this. I don't think that it was a horrible misstep, but I think that it was still a little bit high. It was a little bit high. The mint counts combined with the pack volume. I mean, like I said, it's still a lot better than other things that we've seen in this space, but Candy is still pretty young. So whatever it is, again, we are in this as collectors first and foremost. So we are still enjoying the product regardless of what's happening. You can't buy anything with any particular expectation of what the prices are going to do in the short term. But to me, the bottom line is that it is good to see that when something is happening, when there's call for action, and when they feel that an adjustment needs to be made, that they're still agile enough to do that. Hopefully that remains. I know that the bigger a company gets, that can become more difficult. But for the time being, it looks like that's very realistic because we've seen a couple versions of that already. The Pete Alonso update on the play of the day, adding the bat flip back, was the first one. It was a smaller one, and this is a much more significant one. So just happy to see that they're trying, and that's all you can ask for in the short term, and then you see how it plays out. So like I said, let's see what happens here. It's good to see the adjustment, and we'll see how things continue to go with the future drops. I think that the sellouts will probably happen much, much faster given the pack volume that we're looking at now.
And this wasn't even the first time that Candy has made a rapid adjustment. With the pack drops last year, we had the reverse problem. There weren't enough packs to meet demand. And in the initial packs of All-Star drops, too many people were getting left with zero because of how quickly they were selling out. And so they quickly reacted to that as well, and they ensured that when the Uncut Diamond packs dropped, everyone got one and only one pack just to deal with the overwhelming demand that they were seeing at the time. And so that was, just a couple days in between having a problem and fixing a problem. And that's one of the things I respect about the approach they've taken to this community.
Definitely. Yeah, it's good to see the continued willingness, desire to make adjustments as needed. So cool. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about on the drop structure, or do you want to jump into these player tiers?
Yeah, let's look at the player tiers now that we've had some more time to really break down how many mints or how many mints per rarity each player has. And
Exactly.
our figures from a couple weeks ago were pretty close, but a couple small differences, and you can go over those.
Yeah, so every single card has cores. The volume of cores differs. You can see on the bottom line item of each of these four tiers, the first two tiers, you've got 1,500 cores, and the last two tiers, you've got 2,750. But basically, the variation across these four buckets, we'll call them, are that you've got 60 players, and this is based on the 180 players from lineup number one. You've got 60 players that only have up to an uncommon. There's going to be 850 of those with the 1,500 cores. You've got 55 players in the rare tier. There's going to be 425 rares, and then the same uncommon and core numbers as the uncommon only tier. And then in the epic tier, you're going to see an increase on the rares from 425 to 500. And you're also going to have those 250 epics to go along with it. So this is your first big jump in total. So those first two, you've got 2,300 and 2,700, give or take. And then here at the epic tier, because these are more popular players, they've increased the volume of the core to, in theory, mirror the demand. And you've also added the epics, and 75 more rares. And then this final tier is just going to add one additional card. So you go from 5,000 to 5,001. And these are going to be the 25 players who do have a 1/1 tucked away in a long shot pack rip somewhere. But as we've seen, some of those have already been pulled. A couple of them have already been sold. But these tiers, it's worth note, have been designed to be based on the player quality, the player tier, the demand. You can debate it for sure. I think that Miguel Cabrera should have gotten a 1/1. I'm also biased and love Brett Phillips, and I think that he should have been higher. The cards that you see here are representative of being a card that is maxed out at that tier, that falls into that bucket. But this gives you a better idea of what it is that you're holding, and gives you an idea of what those different mint counts look like. And again, worth noting that in theory, these are all temporarily cut in half because of the restructure to the pack drops.
Right, and that's a good note. Especially the fact that the lower tier, let's call them players that only have the 850 uncommon and 1500 cores, that puts them down to 425 and 750, so less than 1200 copies of their cards in total in circulation right now. And there's going to be some variance on that because we don't know how many of their cards are in the half of the packs that are put on hold, or how many are in the packs that have already been distributed. But if we assume about half got distributed, then that's where we're sitting. And some of them are still going to be in unopened packs. But those lowest tier of players actually represent the easiest player to kind of supply block in a way. And we've seen some attempts at that already with players that you might not expect having dozens of copies of their cards picked up by the same handful of people to restrict the supply and make it more difficult for other people to get copies of that same player, which is an interesting tactic to take that has its pros and its cons, especially with the total supply being as high as it is. It could be difficult to keep up because we saw something similar last year with Yusei Kikuchi and his copies getting snatched up beyond what seemed reasonable at the time. But we're just going to have to see how these plays play out.
And there's who's the player right now that's the meme card? I'm forgetting his name.
Oh, it's Alex. What is the last name? 1 second, I have it here.
Vasia. Here we go.
Yes, Alex Vasia.
Let me pull this up.
And he's in that bottom category with only cores and uncommons. And prior to any activity, his cores were trading at around that $1 mark that you typically see. And let's see what it's at right now. But I know earlier at least
floor of $8.
$8. Okay.
What was it
had
earlier?
been pushed up to about $11, $12 for a minute, but there are some listings coming in beneath that, and so we'll see. I know people are really hyping up his mustache. That's the major selling point.
Hey, that's a good enough reason for me, man.
And no, it's definitely an interesting play to make. And with something like this, I tend to think that the market itself will be self-regulating, in the sense that if they buy 300-400 copies and no one else wants any, then that's good for them, but that's not going to pay itself off. But if the demand for him increases, if he becomes a star, or if there's a big incentive to complete a set that has him in it, or if he becomes useful in something like a fantasy baseball event, if there's some type of gamification that requires him for some reason, that could pay off big time if they control a significant supply and there's a reason for people to pay what seems like inflated prices for a copy of his card.
Yeah, you also, I know I've seen some speculation on, and I don't exactly know what this would be, but if there would be some type of burn event. You can't burn packs because you'd be burning the contents that you don't know, but you could do something where you burn cards if you wanted to. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know if, if it would be based on rewards, collections, something like that. Don't know if that's anything that Candy's even considering, but there's all different theories, and it's fun to speculate, and it's fun to just come up with your own ideas. I think stuff like this is fun. Do I like it from the perspective of I'm working on my set and I haven't purchased an Alex Vesia yet? No, I don't. But I'm not gonna cry over that. It's seven extra dollars to grab one of these, and I think it's fun that the community does stuff like this, because why not? Why not? And you don't really have the option to do this with cardboard. And when you have a tight knit community on the Discord talking about different things like this, and also doing their due diligence and picking a card with 1,500 instead of 2,750, that makes it make more sense as well. So it's just fun. I think it's cool.
And it's such a cool dynamic that the better players have twice as many, or sometimes more than twice as many copies as everyone else, because it creates some type of balance there, and keeps them affordable for more people.
Definitely. I think that was a really good move. Not one that either one of us anticipated, because all of the cores were the same in the first set. But yeah, I like this. And it also means that on those two lower tiers, you could speculate on a guy that has less supply. And if he does hit it, because there's some young guys in there, guys fly under the radar. Stock on a player, just in terms of baseball, changes every single year. So it creates some new opportunities. It creates some new potential to speculate and execute on a theory. So I think it's cool. Were there any other specific cards that you wanted to talk about or show?
Well, we did gather some data on the 25 players that have legendaries, because it's not really feasible to gather floor data on the full 180. And so even just narrowing our focus to the top 25, at least as decided by who has a legendary and who doesn't, we see a pretty clear top three among the set, both in terms of sales and prices. And those three, to no one's surprise, are Mike Trout, Wander Franco, and Bryce Harper. They sit head and shoulders above the rest. If you're just looking at total sales, in the past week, the top 25 players have seen an average of 211 sales across all rarities. But those three are the only three sitting above 300. So they're skewing the average in their favor, with Mike Trout having the most sales so far, 372. Wander Franco just behind at 356. And Bryce Harper a couple steps back at 326. But then the next runner-up is Giancarlo Stanton, and he's a full 60 behind at 265. So you can just see this disparity between those three and the rest of the field. But when you look at the core prices, if you're just looking to get in and complete a set, even these top 25s, there's a lot of $1 and $2 cards. And you've got some $3 cards like a Christian Yelich. You've got some $4 cards like a Jonathan India or a Byron Buxton. So it's still a very affordable set when you just look at the full 180. But we're starting to see those three kind of distance themselves from the rest of the field.
Definitely. Yeah, we saw Trout his cores were sitting around 40 when the announcement was made. He went up to a floor of about 50, and now he's worked his way back down to around 40. Floors, as we've talked about, do not tell the whole story. It's just what was sitting there available to be purchased. But as it may have noticed as I was just scrolling through there, the most recent sales here are right around $40, 42, 45, 42, 42. So, you're looking at about $45 to grab a Trout right now. And like we talked about in the past, this is the thing that's nice about this new set. And there's an opportunity here with cards being these prices. So yes, you want to see everything with more value because it means the project's healthy and it means that your collection is worth more. But there are ebbs and flows to every project. And right now, you and I, as we talked about last week on the $1 and $2 cards, we are picking those up. You've already completed your set. I'm working on mine. it's fun. It's attainable. I did not do a set for the 21 cards because it was just out of what was feasible for me. This is feasible. So I think that a lot of people are feeling that way. Now it's a grind. It's taking a lot
Hmm.
longer than I expected it to. 180 cards is no small amount of transactions, especially when you're being particular about pricing. And I'm not just going in and buying up the floors. I'm looking for the prices that I want it to be. So, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it. I like baseball. I like baseball cards. I like NFTs. So this is what I've been waiting for. I'm enjoying the process, and it's fun to see the volume and decide what I'm trying to grab things at. And yeah, I'm enjoying this set for what it is right now, and the marketplace as an opportunity right now, in both of our opinion.
Hmm. No, I agree, and I particularly like your approach because you've been taking a special eye towards players that you don't just want a core of, so you're looking for an uncommon or better, and I think that's something that could definitely pay off as well. You're not just taking the first thing that's available; you're being a bit more selective, and which is why you're not quite finished yet. Um, but with the way things are lining up, it shouldn't take too much more time.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely had the advantage. You got it done quickly, and that was a significant lull. So in terms of what the prices were at, I'm jealous of where you jumped in. But at the same time, like you said, I have a slightly different approach. Yours was very metric driven. Mine is a little bit more fantasy baseball driven. I've talked about this every episode for the last month. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know when it's coming. I don't know if it's in a week or a month, or if it's going to be the All-Star break or what, or if it's even going to be this season. We do not know. We know that it's in the works, but to me, that's exciting. I've always played fantasy baseball, so I'm speculating on, is there a multiplier for an uncommon or a rare on in that space with fantasy. And so there are certain players that, not a lot of them, because I still want it to be an affordable set overall, but I'm definitely
Mhm.
picking my spots on guys that I want to have one that's a little bit of a higher tier, just in case that has a bigger payout when it comes to fantasy. So,
Yeah.
was there something else you
Go
were gonna say
ahead.
there? I was gonna
Oh.
show a card here because this was something that we botched last week again, as
Hmm.
we were in the excitement of everything being so new. We forgot after we opened our very first packs, and that's really the problem, is that we hadn't opened anything yet. So what changed from the 21 set to the 22 set is that in the 21 set you could always see the shimmy file, is what it's called. I download everything, so I just call it the shimmy file. That was what it was titled. But you could see the card just rotating left and right, but until you owned the card you didn't have access to the video. Whereas with the 22 set, everybody can see this video when you click on a card, so you know what you're
Hmm.
getting. But the thing that you don't get until you own the card are these additional two bonuses. And to me, this one in the middle is the coolest. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
got the dynamic stats on the back, and this is your, effectively your shimmy file. And if you click it, it flips back and forth. It's very shiny. I think that the 21s have a nostalgic charm to them. They're a little bit more retro. They're a little more classic, and I love those. I love the borders. I miss the borders. I wish that they hadn't taken those off. But the
Hmm.
shine here and the way that it interacts with the light, as well as if you use your scroll wheel, it turns it 3D. And I think that that's super cool. So just a nice little, new rendition on what this can look like. And even in the 3D mode, you can still flip it around. So I think that that's super cool. I think it looks really cool. Nice design. And then this last piece is a little bit unfinished at the moment, but it looks to be a certificate of authenticity. It shows the rarity. It shows, sorry, I should have zoomed in sooner here. I'll go back to the other one, but you've got the edition number says coming soon, the drop date says coming soon, but then all of this info that you have written out here, it shows it on the NFT as well. So I think that this is really nice. Cool little sticker here. These are thoughtful touches that add to the collector value of it. And let me jump back now that I've zoomed in.
Hmm.
But yeah, these are just, it's really cool. It's really sharp. The way that it interacts with the light, it's very video gamey. uh, as somebody that plays MLB The Show and has for many years, I appreciate the digital art that's being created here.
Well, and at least to me, it looks like I don't know if you've seen any of those like resin pour videos where people will like suspend things in like a clear, polished resin.
Hmm.
It has that kind of effect going to it with the walls built up and the suspended players. But I didn't even know it popped out until you told me an hour ago. And now I need to look through my collection again and better appreciate the dynamic stats page.
Yeah.
And the one thing it is missing is the ability to go full screen in the element itself. Hopefully, they'll be able to add something like that. But otherwise, you can use your browser and zoom in to get a better view, as you just did.
Yep.
And they're beautiful.
And one other note is that the audio across the board on the Candy website is pretty loud and at times unmutable. So to anybody that doesn't know, you can't see it on my screen share right now, but at least in Google Chrome, if you just right click your tab, let's see if that's not going to show up. But if you right click the tab up at the top, there's an option to mute the site. And so when I'm going through and clicking on a whole bunch of different listings, working through acquiring more cards for my set, I just mute the tab so that it doesn't start the audio every single time. So just a little pro tip there to have a little quality of life improvement on that. So was there anything else you wanted to discuss card wise, detail wise, mint sizes, anything like that?
I don't think so. I think I'm too anxious to get to the next step here.
So you're saying it's time to rip some packs.
It's time to rip some packs.
Let's rip some packs then.
Now, I think I went first last week.
Okay, I was gonna
so
say.
I
Fair
think
enough, fair
I
enough.
think you get to kick things off.
All right. Do I just go from the top here, or do I pick my cereals? Let's go random. We're gonna go with this one. Zoom this in.
Well, you might need to zoom out just a smidge. Okay, that's good.
There we go. Good. All right. Starting off with a rare. We like that.
That's good.
We like
Better
that.
than last week already.
Tyrone Taylor. Not exciting other than the fact that I know I haven't grabbed one of those yet. So really what I'm hoping for right now is cards that I haven't put in my set yet. So we'll take it. Grandal, have one of those. Bard, don't have him yet. 2 for 3. Shogo. All right. Give me a name. Give me
Let's
a name.
see it.
Good enough.
You still can't go wrong with the rare. That blue polish.
I know the blues are so nice looking, and he is in that top tier of. He's in the top 25, so we'll take it. All right, let's run it back. Uno mas. Let's go with my last 5,000 cereal here. All right, back-to-back
Another
rares.
rare. Okay.
Back-to-back rares. All right, give me some names. Simber. I don't think I have him yet, so we'll take it. Elvis Andrews, not sure if I have him yet.
It's gonna be some accounting afterwards.
Yeah, right. Well, good thing it's all
Let's see.
recorded, so I can go back. My third uncommon John Birdie.
Okay.
Give me a name, one time. All right. Not the finest, but got some cards that we needed for the set, so it is what it is.
And that's a good consolation prize that at least you'll get to benefit from. Um, I'm gonna be getting nothing but
Yeah.
duplicates now that I ponied up for the entire set over the past week.
Hmm.
So I'm just hoping for either that juicy epic pull, or some at least some players I care about. Some more San Francisco Giants would be nice.
Yep.
We'll just have to see what's in store for me.
All right, let me get yours pulled up here. Okay, you're good there. Let's get you. There we go.
Let me know when it's squared away.
You are good to go, my friend.
All right, so
Let's hope
just
for
gonna.
better luck than last week.
I mean, I got the rare
Oh no,
Randy
I just
last
I
week.
just mean your first pack. You couldn't even do
Oh
the opening.
yes, that's right. Let's hope we can actually see. In
As
fact,
long as you can open the
um,
pack, we'll call it a win.
let me go back. Let me refresh. Let's in fact let's try this pack. We're gonna switch packs. I was told that we didn't do anything for good luck last week, and so
You gonna throw some salt
well,
over your shoulder?
I don't have any salt, but I've got some thumbtacks, so
Nice.
that'll be interesting later.
All right, you're about to pull a wander now. I can feel it.
Well, we'll see. If that makes the difference, I'm doing it every time. Let's see.
All right, all right. I love how these packs open and just toss the
Mhm.
jewels out at you.
Oof. Okay. Well, we got two uncommons, but let's just knock out these cores first. Miguel
There you
Cabrera.
go.
That's a good pull. That is a
Probably
good
better
pull,
than
even
anything
as a
I
core.
pulled. Yeah. It's worth reminding people that the players are more important than the rarities for sure.
Jack Flaherty. He's also in that top tier, that top 25. Uh, so good pull on him. It's my second core. Third core.
Oh, there
Mike
we
Trout.
go.
Let's
Let's
go.
go.
See, and just with that one core, this pack paid for itself. That
Nice.
is
Nice, Paul.
okay. I need more thumbtacks. This this is happening now. So first uncommon, Lucas Giolito. I'm fine with that.
Hey, you pulled Miggy and Trout. This pack is made.
Yes, I know that this pack has already done the heavy lifting, and
Oh, look at
I
what a
I
pack.
love it.
What a pack. All right.
And the uncommon Joey Bart for the fifth one. That's
Nice
not only
pack.
is he a giant, he's actually in his tier has had some pretty high value. I don't know if there's anyone stacking him or what. When I picked up my core Joey Bart, the first one I pulled, I only paid $1, and now he's trading at $8 or $9, and so he's already seen some movement.
I
So an
noticed that.
uncommon
I was
Joey
going to
Bart.
ask you, is he meant to be something good or is it more likely a meme?
He was a very high draft pick, and he's just been waiting in the wings behind Buster Posey.
Okay.
So that this is his chance to shine, and at least so far, he's been hitting well. There's maybe something to be desired in terms of his defensive abilities, at least so far. But he's very promising, and so he could deliver a Posey type of career from what we're seeing so far.
All right. Well, now that you have two, you can sell me yours since I don't have
Ah,
one.
oh, that's right. I mean, I paid $1 for it, so I could let it go pretty cheap. We'll talk. We'll
All right.
talk.
Let's do number two.
All right, pack number two. Let's get it started.
Let's go
Oh
two
wait,
for two here.
thumbtacks.
Toss them. Let's
Oh,
go. Forever
thumbtacks every
thumbtacking
time.
it. Forever thumbtacking it. It is decided. It is decided.
All right. So,
That's a good pull.
first core
That's a
was
good
a Will
pull.
Smith.
He's
Los
top
Angeles
25, right?
Dodgers.
Does he have a 101?
I don't think he was in the top.
No, is he
I
epic?
can
Epic tier?
cross-reference really fast. Will Smith. He actually. Where is he? Okay. No, he does not have one of the legendaries, but he does go up to
Epic
epic.
tier. Okay.
So he's near the top.
All right.
Okay. And then Second core was Paul Fry, relief pitcher for Baltimore. Third pull, Diego Castillo, relief pitcher for the Mariners.
I absolutely love that epic jewel gem piece
Oh,
of
yeah.
candy, whatever you want. They look like gushers, don't they?
Mm-hmm. All right, so now we're pulling the uncommon. Kyle Higashioka, catcher for the Yankees. And nothing on the same level as my last pack yet, but just having a Dodger and a Yankee, it just feels good.
Mhm.
You know, they have such large fan bases. They have, such clout in the baseball industry that you just can't be happy, or you can't be unhappy with either team. Even though I'm a Giants fan, I'll take some Dodger cards.
All right.
And the Epic.
Wander Trout Harper. Okay.
DJ
All
LeMahieu,
right.
another Yankee.
Yep.
Third base.
He'll take that.
That's a good card.
Two
Let's
solid
just-
packs, my friend.
let's
solid
take
packs.
A quick look at DJ LeMahieu and see where his
I was going to say, I think he's around 75-ish, 70.
active. So 75. He nailed it. Is his current low ask. I don't know if I'm going to be listing mine soon. I couldn't be more pleased with those two packs.
Solid couple packs. Very solid couple
Anytime a
packs.
pack pays for itself, you can't go wrong. But
Definitely.
So pleased with that.
Yep. That's awesome.
Next week is your turn. You better stock up on some packs or something else.
I am notorious for having very bad pack luck. You can ask my friends. I'm talking before Candy ever started.
Mm-hmm.
I do not get good pulls, whether it's baseball cards, showdown cards, MLB The Show. It's not pretty, but it doesn't stop it from being fun. So.
And it's got to be building towards something, because
Right?
odds even out in the end. That's just the way they work.
So you're saying that I've built up a lifetime of equity towards a 1 of 1.
I don't know if I'm saying exactly that.
No, I think that's what you just said. That's what I heard. All right.
Okay.
I think that does it for us. My name is Nate. That's David. This is the Talking Candy Weekly Update. Appreciate you guys being here, and we'll see you in the next one.
Check. The grills in my mouth double as a breeze. The grills in my mouth double as a breeze. The grills in my mouth.